Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa barik wasallim. Namanya ta'allum wa ta'alim wa tadhakkura wa tazkir wa naf'a wa intifa' wal ifada wal istifada wal hatha ala tamassuki bi kitabillahi wa sunnati rasulih sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wa sahbihi wasallam wa du'a ila al-huda wa dalala an al-khair ibtigha'a wajhillah wa mardatihi wa qurbihi wa thawabihi subhanahu wa ta'ala ma'a lutfin wa afiyatin bi rahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-'ilma ladunni wa mashraba safi al-hani ya wahhab ya ghani. Allahumma nas'aluka al-'ilma ladunni wa mashraba safi al-hani ya wahhab ya ghani. Allahumma inna nas'aluka al-'ilma ladunni wa mashraba safi al-hani ya wahhab ya ghani. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Amin. Alhamdulillah. We continue with our Muqaddimah Hadramiyah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So the ninth, so we're still at this part on the integrals of the prayer, the wajibat, the wajibat of the prayer, the integrals of the prayer, the obligations of the prayer. So all under the same word lah, arkan or furud or wajibat, they all mean the same thing. Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. And at-tasi', you're on the number 9. Are we there? My mark is there. We're on number 9. Okay, so number 9, the final tashahhud. At-tasi' at-tashahhudul akhir wa aqalluhu at-tahiyatu lillah. Salamun alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salamun alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Right, so that is the minimum. At-tahiyah. So at-tahiyatu lillah in all regards, or all greetings to Allah. Assalamu alayka. So the full one is at-tahiyatul mubarakatuh salawatu tayyibatu lillah. Only the first word is compulsory. At-tahiyatu lillah. And of course, we learn what is wajib, what is sunnah, for us to, first and foremost, if we do a mistake in the sunnah, we know that our prayer is still valid, can still continue praying. Secondly, is that you know that if you that if you're in a hurry, right, and you're unable to do the full attahiyah, or you need to go to the bathroom or to the toilet or whatsoever, you can just do the minimum attahiyah and then finish your prayer and then exit from your prayer and then go ahead and do whatever you have to do. Right, so but we don't learn wajib from sunnah for us to just very casually, for no reason, neglect the sunnah. And that's not the whole point. And the whole point is for us to, in case of like situation that you need to know, is your prayer valid or not. So someone came to you and says to you, I said at-tahiyatul mubarakatul, and then they said, and I forgot what was after that. And I said lillah. So they say, is my prayer valid? And you say, yeah. You say at-tahiyatu, the word at-tahiyah is there, is valid already. So even when they say, I said at-tahiyatu lil mubarakatu, then I said tayyibatu, then I said salawatu. So they mix up the words. So you, as someone has studied fiqh, you'll be like, it's okay. It's okay. Your prayer is valid, right? Because you say at-tahiyah, that is the only important word. That means the one that is wajib. You say the word at-tahiyah. At-tahiyatu lillah. Salamun alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Salamun alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin. The whole thing is wajib. Right, so you can't just say that only for Nabi is wajib and then on to us not wajib. No, the whole thing is wajib. Under the attahiyah, the shahada, ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa anna Muhammadar Rasulullah. Of course, the full one is ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahdahu la sharika lah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Right, you can see the full one, or you can see this one as well. Any form of the shahada. Right, so peace be upon us, peace be upon you, O Prophet, and it has to be assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu. So exactly the wording. You can't say assalamu alaykum or any other form. It has to be exactly the wording that we see here. You can say assalamu alayka, or you can say salamun alayka, up to you. Right, so salamun is what is wajib. Assalamu alayka is the sunnah. To do it in that way. So peace be upon us and on all righteous slaves of Allah. I bear witness there is none worthy in worship except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is the slave and the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, of course, here it says wa anna Muhammad rasuluhu, there's no abduhu, but then the translation put it in there. But it's okay lah. I say wa ashtu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu also can. Right. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right. So, and then the condition of the final testimony is that it has to be continuous and it has to be in Arabic. وَيُشْتَرَطُ مُوَالَاتُهُ وَأَنْ يَكُونَ بِالْعَرَبِيَّةِ. Right. The whole at-tahiyya from the beginning to the end, the whole thing has to be in Arabic, has to be continuous. Alright. Okay, so any questions about that? Should be straightforward lah, inshallah. So the sunnah, we have learnt it earlier on, right? التحيات المباركات الصلوات الطيبات لله السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. So to go السلام is sunnah. To say salamun is the wajib one. Okay, naam. Alright, okay, no questions I continue. Right, so a lot to cover in Muqaddimah Hadramiyah, so we just go quickly. The tenth rukun or the 10th obligation or wajibat of prayer is to sit down while reciting the final testimony of faith. Right, so the entire from the first letter of the pronunciation to the last letter of pronunciation, you need to be seated on the ground. So you can't be like moving halfway. Or on your way down, on your way up, and so on. So you cannot be moving at all. You cannot be getting up or on your way down and you begin moving. Or from sujud you go at-tahiyatu lillah. Then all it would cause for you to have not fulfilled the obligation of reciting the entire tahiyat while seated. Alright. Number 11, al-hadi ashara as-salatu ala nabi ba'dahu qa'idan. So the salawat onto the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam after the entire attahiyah while you are seated down, and the minimum salawat is Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. That is the minimum salawat onto our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Or you say aw ala rasulihi aw ala nabi. Right, so you can say any of these words, the word Muhammad itself or the word Rasul, right, Rasulihi, the Rasul of Allah, or ala nabi. Right, so any of these words pass as a minimum salawat. Of course, the complete salawat is salawat Ibrahimiyah that was taught to us by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's what we memorize. So we go Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala ali Sayyidina Muhammad wa azwaji wa dhurriyyatihi kama sallaita ala Sayyidina Ibrahim wa ala Sayyidina Ibrahim fil alamina innaka Hamidum Majid wa barik ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa azwaji wa dhurriyyatihi wa kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim fil alamina innaka Hamidum Majid. That is the full salawat Ibrahimiyah that we are taught to do, and that is sunnah. Wajib Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Enough. That is wajib. Of course, if you don't do wa ala ali Muhammad, if you don't do onto the family for the final tahiyah, then you have missed out of the ab'ad of the prayer. Remember, you spoke about the ba'ad min ab'ad the salah. In Surah Najah, we learned about the ab'ad. So if you missed out the ab'ad of the prayer, that would require for a person sunnah. For a person to perform sujud sahwi. Or remember what are the ab'ad of the prayers? Just recall what are the ab'ad of the prayers. So saying onto the family is ba'd min al ab'ad. It's an emphasized sunnah, or you can say a main sunnah of the prayer. So of course, since you're in your last raka'at, your last sitting, you might as well do the salawat onto the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam instead of doing sahwi. You can just do it then. So Allahumma salli Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. But onto the family, again, it is a sunnah or ab'ad. It's a main sunnah, but it's not a wajib. Right, so someone will say, I send salawat to Rasulullah. I said, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad, and I say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Is my prayer valid? Yes, your prayer is valid. There's no problem with the prayer. But if someone were to say, I had one student in the past, she said to me, I'd never send salawat onto the Prophet in my prayers. So she actually recites At-tahiyatu lillahi Assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabiyyu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh Assalamu alayna wa ala ibadillahi salihin Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullah. So when she told me that, I had a student who actually did that. She told me that, I was like, can you repeat again how do you say your tahiyah? Her whole life, she's an adult, and her whole life she's just been going Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That is how she does her attahiyah. Since she was young, she learned it that way. For some reason, she never picked up the salawat. She just stopped at the shahada and give salams. So then I checked, with my teachers, and they said that she has to do the salawat. She has to, so which means that all her salat from a young age to that point in time when she told me about it, all her prayers are not valid. All of them are not valid because she didn't do the salawat. The salawat is wajib, it's an integral of the prayer. Right, so I had to tell her lah that you have to start to do, qada of your prayers, because your prayers all la hawla wala quwwata illa billah, all tak sah. Right, it's a calamity. So that's why it is important, especially for adults, if you have children in your care, you teach them when they're young at 7, right, to get them to pray. Then when they're 9, teach them again. Then when they are in puberty, teach them again and test them. That means you watch them. You watch how they pray, as they must read out loud and everything. Make sure they're getting it right. And then of course, as Muslims, as throughout our life, we should be learning this over and over again, because then you really iron out, or you really comb out what you've been doing wrong all this while. You don't go years of your life praying wrong. Okay, so salawat unto Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then so the minimum is to say this, and then to give salams. This is all rukun qawli, where all of this is rukun qawli, is rukun that is said, which means that you have to hear yourself. You have to hear yourself saying the Attahiyah. You have to hear yourself saying the Assalamu alayka ayyuhan Nabi. You have to hear yourself saying Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. And you have to hear yourself saying Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right? You have to hear yourself saying all these things. And the Assalamu alaikum also has to be said. Naam. Right, so the last one, to say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The minimum of what you need to say is Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. It has to be with an alif lam, of assalam. You cannot say salamun. I cannot basically say salamun. Assalam. Unlike the one that was previously, where you can say assalamu alayka ayyuhan nabi, you can say salamun alayka. Both are permissible. Both are valid. Let me give the conditions of this. Okay, the conditions of the salam. I'm going to label them. Right, the conditions of the salams. The first one, this is a poem about it. It goes arif wa khatib wa sil wa ajma' wa mustaqbalan lil qiblah. Tamam. So it is okay. Right, so there is a poem on the conditions of saying the salams. So the first one is arif. Right, so arif means saying alif lam. That's the first one. Right, so it cannot be salamun. It has to be assalam. Right, assalam alif lam. And then wa khatib has to be kum. Right, that's number 2. With a ka, kum. And then wasil, that means it has to be together. Okay, so you cannot split it. Right, so you cannot go assalam alaikum. You can split it up. It has to be together. It's assalamu alaikum in one sentence. That's what number 2. There's number 3. There's number 4. Number 4 is to make it jama', all of you. So you cannot say assalamu alaik. It has to be assalamu alaikum. Right. Right, so and while you're doing this, right, you have to be facing qibla. Your chest has to be facing the qibla because you're still in prayer. Right, seated. Okay, you have to be seated. And hear yourself. Right, hear yourself has to be in Arabic. Okay. Okay, and the last condition is that not to address anyone. That means once you might not to address anyone, that means someone is at the door, right? Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Right, they give salam to the house. You don't Assalamualaikum warahmatullah and you respond to them. You don't do that. You're going to intend to exit the prayer. Okay, you're going to intend to exit the prayer. Okay, there is a sunnah of intending to give salams to all those on your right and all on your left, right? But that one, it comes after the intention of extending the prayer, as you're not trying to speak to anybody, right? Because in your prayer you're not allowed to communicate with the outside world. You have to be within your prayer. All right, number 13. I hope the and if there are any questions, just ask your questions. Number 13. والثالث العشر ترتيب فإن تعمد تركه تركك فإن تعمد تركه كأن سجد قبل ركوعه بطلت صلاته. نعم. So sequence in order. So if one on purpose leave sequence obligation, such as he does his sujud before his ruku', then the prayer is nullified. However, if you do it in forgetfulness, then it is then what is performed after the integral that is missed is considered void. Right? So if someone forgets to do a second sujud and after sitting they stand up straight away for the next rak'at and they forgot the second sujud, then once they remember, they need to go back immediately to the second sujud and perform it, because all that is done after it is not valid. It's as with wudu. If you miss any of the limbs in sequence, all that you washed after that is not valid. Right? Things are only, or actions or the limbs in the prayer, when we went through the conditions of ruku and sujud and i'tidal and so on, there is always the condition that the what was before it had to be valid. Right? So if what was before it was not done in the first place, then how can it be valid? Right? So you need to go back to what you forgot and perform it. If you've gone through one cycle, like one entire raka'at, and then you are back to what you forgot, then at that point in time you remember, then the previous raka'at is null. Right? It is null raka'at, and you just continue from wherever you're at. Right? And you continue from there. Okay, alhamdulillah. Continuing. Right? So if one remembers it before he performs the particular integral, we just mentioned about it, he is required to immediately perform the integral that was missed. He must go straight away to whatever he had missed. Right? So if he missed out a sujud, and so while he's standing or while he's in ruku and he remembers at that point in time that he missed out the second sujud in the first raka'at, he needs to go straight down immediately into the sujud position and continue from there. He cannot continue the moment he remembers. If he has done the entire rak'at and has come into sujud, then he remembered, this time I didn't do the second sujud. Right? So then just continue as where he was from the second sujud of the first rak'at. And so it means whatever he did in between, all null, the whole thing null. Right? It is void. Except when one did not remember which integral was missed until he enters another cycle, means another rak'at. Then complete the cycle. He is required to add another rak'at. That means he just adds on after the prayer, because that was not that was considered invalid for him adding another cycle. So that was basically he whatever he did between the point where he forgot the integral to the next time where he remembered it, all of that was null. All of that was null. If the person feels convinced at the end of the prayer that he missed one of the prostrations at the end of the cycle of the ruku' of the rak'at, then he is required to perform the prostration immediately and repeat the final testification of faith. So if he is very sure, no doubt, he forgot the last sujud. He already Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And in fact, even if he were to forget how many rak'ats, so for example, he prayed 2 rak'ats and he gives salams, then he is reminded, or he is certain that, I know I owe 2 more rakats because I came in late. Right? All he has to do is just continue from where he is. His salams is void. Right? The salams are void. Right? It's because it's forgetful speech. Right? So he continues and prays. If he remembers he did not do a second sujud, then he does his sujud and then he sits up and he does tahiyah. Like for example, if someone were to pray in the last rakat, they sujud, they sit for the first time. Instead of reciting Rabbi Fuli warhamni wajburni, he recites at-tahiyatul mubarakatu salawat tayyibatulillah. He recites the at-tahiyah instead. So because of that, he gives salams after that. Then he realizes that, actually I only did 1 sujud. So then what does he do now? He goes straight into sujud and then he gets up and then he does his tahiyah again. Now, this is why it is sunnah for a person to not do anything to nullify your prayer after you pray. So after you pray, it's sunnah to sit where you are, maintain position, do your zikr wherever you're at. In case it occurs to you that you actually miss out some parts of your prayer, you can continue there and then. However, if you have gotten up, you stretch your legs, you expose your aurat, you turn your chest away from the qibla, and so on, then you can't continue your prayer from where you're at, because you yourself have nullified your prayer already. If you had made a mistake lah, I mean, if there was a mistake in your prayer and you want to continue, you can. I so that, for example, someone prays 3 rak'ats of Zuhur, forgetting that they actually came in masbuq. Right, so when the Imam salam, they salam together with the Imam. Right, and then if this person were to just relax and put the hands back and then stretch the legs or whatever, and then so she has already nullified her own prayer by exposing her own aurat, and by moving her chest around, she has exposed her own prayer. So she has nullified her own prayer. So if somebody were to come to her and say to her, "Hey, you were masbuk. Like why you salam after 3 rakats?" And she remember, "Oh yeah, I was masbuk." Then she can't stand up and continue her prayer because she dah batalkan everything. Right? She already nullified her entire prayer. What she has to do is pray all over again from the beginning. Nah? Okay, so just I wanted to mention that for the salams again, the sunnah is to say the full salams and then wa rahmatullah, you turn your head. And there is no sunnah of saying wa barakatuh except for janazah prayer. So you go you say assalamu alaikum, facing the qiblat, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and turn enough for your cheek to be seen by the people behind you. Turn enough, right? So it's not like that, but it's turned all the way 90 degrees. Right, and there is no sunnah of nodding the head. And then there's no sunnah. There's no, I don't know why do people nod the head? There's no nodding of the head. It's just assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. That is correct, inshallah. Okay. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. If a person or if one miss another cycle meaning raka'ah, or feels doubts in his raka'at, then he is required to add his prayer with another raka'at. Basically, what you have doubt in, you need to make up for it. Right? You can't like, I'm not so sure 3 or 4 raka'ats. Basically, I forget about it. I just do 4. Like, I will skip it to 4. No, if you're in doubt whether it's 3 or 4, you go with the lesser one and you add 1 more raka'at, because you're very sure you did 3. You're just not sure if the 4th was done. That's where your doubt is. You're not sure if the 4th was done, but you're sure 3 were done. So which means you take 3 and then you continue and do 1 more. And then after that you can do a sujood sahwi. If he stands up to perform second cycle when he feels certain that he had left 1 prostration from the first cycle, then even if he has sat down, if he has sat down just for rest, he is required to immediately go down to perform the prostration that was missed. Right, so if he so basically whatever of the rukun, whatever of the integrals, whatever of the obligations that you have forgotten, then it occurs to you that you have forgotten it, then you need to go back down straight away and perform that integral. Right, you cannot go on to the next integral for as long as a particular integral has not been performed with yaqeen. It has to be performed with yaqeen. The tumanina must be with yaqeen as well. Right. However, if he's not sitting down, then he's required to sit down first with a momentary pause and then immediately make the prostration. Right. So this situation is that he stands up to the second raka'at, right? But the first raka'at, he remembers that he's certain that he not do the second sujud. Right. If he is seated, all he has to do is sujud again. Right. But if he's not seated, right, if he's standing, then he needs to sit first because of the sitting between the 2 sujuds, right? Sit first, and then for tumanina, the momentary pause for tumanina, and then do the sujud. Okay, because he had missed out that part. Alright, so don't sujud straight away, but sit first and then perform the sujud. If he remembers that he missed 1 raka'at after giving the salams, if the integral miss is the intention, if it's niyat or takbiratul ihram, there was no prayer to begin with. The prayer was invalid. Right? So if they say after salam, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and he was thinking to himself, did I niyat just now? Think to himself, or did I takbir properly? So he's in doubt. And again, don't let shaitan bother you. Don't let yourself be a victim of waswasa. Right? But if really you're like, I think I niyat isha instead of maghrib, you're very sure of what you niyat, then your entire prayer is not valid in the first place. You're going to pray again. If the integral that was missed after the greeting is not the intention or the opening takbir or takbir ihram, right, then he is required to continue his prayer until the end. So which means that if he had missed one raka'at and give salams, the salams is void. He just stands up and pray one more raka'at. They have to pray the prayer all the way from the beginning. Naam. Right. If the break period is a short, is short, don't touch any filth, do not back face the qibla or utter any words, right? He can just continue the prayer. If how many more rak'ahs? It means he didn't do, as I mentioned just now, he didn't do anything to nullify his prayer. Right, so a short period after he gives salams, he just astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Then it occurred to him, he has not done one more rak'at. Stand up and do one more rak'at. On condition he didn't do anything to nullify his prayer, like not touching najis, he didn't face back face the qibla, and did not say any words that would cause for the nullification or the nullifying of his prayer. However, if the period between his salams and him remembering he has not done one more rak'at is a long period, and then he is required to reperform the prayer because he spent time in the prayer not doing anything of the prayer that will nullify the prayer. If you spend time in your prayer being idle, just being idle and not doing anything, just dreaming or whatever, your prayer batal. You can just stand there and just like be silent for no reason whatsoever. If you're a ma'mum, you are listening to the imam, yes, or you're waiting for the imam, yes, that is permissible. But if you're praying by yourself, and you go Allahu Akbar, then you stone. You didn't read anything, you're just dreaming to yourself. There's nobody there. Your prayer batal. Your prayer is nullified. You cannot there cannot be a part in your prayer whereby you are just stoning. you can't be doing that. Okay, mashallah. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Okay, na'am. Alright, so we finished that part. Then questions on this part on the integrals of the prayer. If there are no questions, I'll go on to the next part. Alright, chapter on the recommended acts in prayer. Okay, now I go into the sunnah. So we finished what is the wajibat, like, of the prayer. So now we are in the sunnah of the prayer. Right, so sunnahs before the prayer. I'm going to say them verbally. You can write them down at the side. So sunnahs before the prayer, it is to use a siwak, right? Because 2 rak'ahs with the siwak is better than 70 rak'ahs without the siwak. So that's the first sunnah before the prayer. Then before the prayer, to recite Surah Nas. Remember, Surah Nas at the point of khannas. You use your left thumb and you step your left thigh to prevent shaitan from swimming in your veins, right, in your blood. And shaitan, he swims in your blood. So you go Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. It's before your prayer, all before your prayer. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Qul a'udhu bi rabbin nas, malikin nas, ilahin nas, min sharril waswasil khannas. Right, the thumb step into your left thigh. Alladhi waswisu fi sudurin nas minal jinnati wan nas. Okay, that is what you read. And then you also read Rabbi a'udhu bika min hamazati shayatin wa a'udhu bika Rabbi ay yahdurun. Right, you ask Allah for protection from shaitan. Or if you can remember, you can say a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Right, so that before you begin your prayer. But it's best you recite the other ayat. Rabbi a'udhu bika min hamazati shayatin wa a'udhu bika Rabbi ay yahdurun. That dua, can find it in Wirdul Latif by Imam Al-Haddad. Right, so it right, so it is and so of course, if someone were to apply all these sunnahs of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he will increase in the knowledge of in the light of knowledge. He will increase in the light of knowledge. Okay, so now going into the sunnahs. Right, the first one, ويسن تلفظ بالنية قبيل التكبير واستصحابها. It is recommended in the prayer to verbalize the intention, means to say it, to utter it just before the opening takbir that we are very used to, and so used to the point some people think that the one is wajib, and then they neglect the real wajib that happens in your heart at the point of takbir. Right, so to say usalli farda subhi, أصلي فرض الصبح ركعتين أداء لله تعالى. Right, to say it out loud right before takbir, Allahu Akbar, that one is sunnah. Right, so that you are focused on what prayer you are praying. And to maintain the niyat in your heart till the end of your prayer is also sunnah. Right? It is only wajib to mention the intention at the beginning of the prayer, as with all acts of worship. It's only wajib to say the intention at the beginning. It is sunnah to maintain the intention throughout the act of obedience. Then, for example, wudu, the compulsory bath, the beginning you have the intention. It's sunnah to maintain the intention throughout the entire act of obedience until you finish. But if you don't, then it does not affect the act of obedience. Then you lift both hands together with the start of the opening takbir. وَرَفَعُوا الْيَدَيْنِ مَعَ ابْتِدَاءِ تَكْبِيرَةِ الْإِحْرَامِ. Okay, look at this. Right, so here there's number the sunnahs here about on the takbir al-ihram there are sunnahs, 10 sunnahs in fact. Let me just see if we can number them. Right, so here the first one, lift both hands together. That's the first sunnah. Right, lifting both hands, lifting is a sunnah itself. Both hands together is sunnah itself. At the start of the opening takbir is a sunnah in itself. There are 3 sunnahs here. Alright, so not doing one hand but 2 hands. Right, lifting them is a sunnah. Lifting them together is a sunnah. You don't go like that. Of course not. Right. At the beginning of the takbir, so the moment you say the of Allahu Akbar, your hands begin to move. Right. So you don't put your hands up, Allahu Akbar. That one is not sunnah. You go Allahu Akbar. With the raw, your hands are folded. Okay. And then of the further sunnahs, your palm facing towards the Qibla, towards the Kaaba. And that's number 4. Right, fingers are loosened. Number 5. Thumb is aligned with both the earlobes. Number 6. Okay. So palms towards the Qibla. Right. So not this way. Right, and not like whatever way you want to put that. Right, and not like some people they're very lazy with the takbir. You go like that. Right, not like that also. So like that. Okay. Fingers are loosened like this. So not like this, nor like that, but in between. All we've gone through before, can all gone through before. Right, so these fingers are loosened like this, so like this, and then the thumb, right, is yuhadi shahma. The shahma is the earlobe, right? So you don't have to touch it. It's not that you touch it. It's just that is somewhat the same level, right? There are on top of this the other sunnahs of the hands position. The bottom of the hand, you can see, bottom of the hand is in line with your shoulder, right? The thumb is in line with your earlobe. The bottom of your hand is in line with the top of your ear, right? So if you do a natural lifting, it should all fall in place. It should all fall in place. If you don't go like too high, right, or you don't go too low like this. Some people they takbir like this all the way down, it's like that. Okay, right. So the bottom of your hand to the shoulder, the thumb to the earlobe, and then the top of the hand to the top of the ear. Right. So technically, all that has a few sunnahs going on, with the lifting of the hand. And then also to complete lifting both hands together with the ending of the takbir, right, that is number 7. Okay, number 7. So number 8 is with the hands to the shoulder. Number 9 is here. And then to have the fingers bent a little bit. So not straight up like that, right, nor bends all the way down, right, but bend like that. Okay, then that will give you number 9, number 10. Right, there are 10 sunnahs. Let's see where's the bottom part. Okay, right, so let me just give you a number. So that's number 7. Then number 8, write it down, number 8, 9, 10. Okay, so number 8, bottom. Bismillah. Is my microphone okay? Bismillah. My recording seems to not get the microphone. Hope it's okay. Is it? Okay. Because my screen recorder keeps saying my microphone is not recording. Okay lah, tak apa lah. Okay. So bottom of the palm to the shoulder. Tips of fingers. Tips of finger. Right. Top of ear. Okay, the top part of your ear. Top of your ear. The tips of your finger is there. And the last one is palms or fingers slightly bent forward. Okay, like that. So they bends forward. Okay. So 10 So the sunnahs of Takbiratul Ihram are 10. Alright. Continuing. Have you gotten that? Okay, he should lift both hands when performing. So the times by which is sunnah to lift both hands. Clear? Okay, clear. Okay, the times that the sunnah times for him to lift both hands is when for Takbiratul Ihram, when he wants to ruku', when he i'tidal, and when he comes up from the first tashahud. These are all the times by which it's sunnah for him to raise the hand. So the first one is Takbiratul Ihram. Takbiratul Ihram. That's number 1. Number 2 is ruku'. Number 3 is i'tidal. And number 4 is only from the second rak'at to the third rak'at. That's all. So if you're from the first to the second, there is no sunnah of lifting the hands. Right? But if you're from the second rak'at to the third rak'at, there is a sunnah of lifting the hands. Alright, so ruku' Allahu Akbar ruku'. Sami Allah liman hamida, hands raised. Right? So many people did when they're praying, they want to ruku', they just drop their hands. They just drop their hands and then they ruku'. No, it's sunnah to lift your hands and then ruku'. And then when you Sami Allahu liman hamida, most people will lift their hands, and then they will Sami Allah hamida, and then to come up from the tahiyah to the third raka'at. After he has completed opening takbir, that means the first takbir ihram, he should place both hands below his chest by using his right palm gripping the back of his left hand in the wrist area. So here another sunnah. Right? So basically the sunnah is to place it on the chest here. Alright, so for women, it should be below your below your breast lah. It shouldn't be on your breast or below your breast, right? But above your belly button. Okay, so the belly button is here, right? The breasts are here, so it's between belly button and breast. Some people they put it here, right? Allahu Alam, maybe it's different mazhab, I don't know, right? But it's not sunnah, right? To put in the Shafi'i mazhab to put it here, and definitely not sunnah to put it at below your belly button. Right, so just to put it between the belly button and the breasts, and then to hold the hand. There are a few ways of doing the sunnah. One way is to grab the whole thing, right? To grab the whole wrist is sunnah like that. Another way is to place the fingers all along the hand. Another way is to place it like that. Okay, did I move my camera?
Because I cannot see
your. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know, I realize. Because I can't see myself. I cannot see. I'm just talking to my screen. Right, so because I'm recording the screen, I off my own thing. So you all cannot see. Okay. Okay, can you see the okay, so can you see now? So the hands are like that. All the fingers are in, right? Or two in, right? Or one. Okay, or like that. That is also a sunnah to grasp. So as long as a grasping, right? So you might find people doing this. They might put all, right? Or they just grasp the whole hand. So here he's mentioning, okay. So here he's mentioning, to place his and to grip, right, the back of his left hand. Right. So the gripping part is the sunnah part. So whether or not you have fingers on the hand itself, it's up to you. Right? But the gripping part is the sunnah part. Okay. Right, so وَنَذَرَ مَوْضِعَ سُجُودِهِ إِلَّا عِنْدَ الْكَعْبَةِ وَإِلَّا عِنْدَ قَوْلِهِ إِلَّا اللَّهِ فَيَنْظُرُ مُسَبِّحَتَهُ. Tamam. So for a person to look at the place of prostration except when he is at the Kaaba. If you're praying in front of the Kaaba itself, the Kaaba is in front of you, you can look up at the Kaaba. Okay, you can look up at the Kaaba, right? Because it helps you focus, concentration. Right? But if you are praying, not at Mecca, you're praying in your own houses, then you look at the place of sujood. Except when you want to say illallah at the shahada. So you say, so you look at your place of sujood. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Okay, your eyes move. Your eyes move, looking to your finger at the point of illallah. Look at your finger the entire time. Maintain it until the end of your prayer. Right, so Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل محمد وأزواجه وذريته كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. The eyes will look at the finger. Okay, نعم. Alright, mafhum, understood. Alhamdulillah, today cover a lot of material. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Okay, now let's continue. Just I think I covered most of it. Alright, ويقرأ دعاء الاستفتاح أو افتتاح. If you know the word افتتاح, استفتاح عقب تكبيرة الإحرام. ومنه so to read the دعاء افتتاح, which is الله أكبر كبيرا والحمد لله كثيرا وسبحان الله بكرة وأصيلا وجهت وجهي الذي فطر السماوات والأرض حنيفا مسلما وما أنا من المشركين إن صلاتي ونسكي ومحياي ومماتي لله رب العالمين لا شريك له وبذلك أمرت وأنا من المسلمين. That's the full dua iftitah, and that was said by one of the Bedouins that came in the masjid of Rasulullah once. And when the Prophet said Allahu Akbar, the Bedouin, he broke into Allahu Akbar kabira walhamdulillahi kathira wa subhanallahi bukrata wa asila. If you stop there, you get the reward of reading dua iftitah. You stop there. Of course, if you continue, then more reward for you. So you can wajjahtu wajhiya, right? That one will bring you more rewards. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. Right, so okay. Let me see if I missed out anything. Okay, tamam. Okay, right. Okay, just now about the hands, right? Those about the hands. So you grab it. Okay, so usually for me, my habit is to put one finger out or two fingers out. Alright, so you grab it towards the left. Okay, so not so much left, right? But this tiny ma'ilan in the Arabic is a little bit towards the left, right? So not central, it's a little bit towards the left. Okay, that's the sunnah of folding your arms before folding your arms when you're in prayer. Okay, for the dua iftitah, if you were to say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim before your dua iftitah, then you have now there is no sunnah for you to do the dua anymore. You must do the dua straight away after saying the takbir. So you say Allahu Akbar Kabira. At the moment you say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, or the moment you say A'udhu billahi minash-shaytanir rajim, then you have basically given up the sunnah lah of dua iftitah. Tamam? Okay, and then to recite وَيَفُوتُ بِالتَّعَوُّذ. So he says وَيَفُوتُ بِالتَّعَوُّذ, that means you miss reciting dua iftitah if you begin by saying A'udhu billahi minash-shaytanir rajim. So the moment you say A'udhu billahi minash-shaytanir rajim, you have missed saying dua iftitah. You cannot go back. The moment you have said Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, you have missed saying dua iftitah. You cannot go back to dua iftitah, and you cannot go back to A'udhu billahi minash-shaytanir rajim, because Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim is part of Fatiha and it is compulsory. So once you have done a wajib, you cannot go back to a sunnah. You cannot go back to a sunnah. And then وَبِجُلُوسِ الْمَسْبُوقِ مَعَ الْإِمَامِ لَا لِتَأْمِينِهِ مَعَهُ. And if a person and with the sitting of the follower together with the imam, accept the recitation of Amin from the follower together with the imam. Right, so here let me just read the Arabic. Right, so here he says here Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad. That is number واشترط موالاته ويكون بالعربية. Then we have taken that one. والسنة محاذيا إلا الله. We have to cover that one also. الله أكبر. وإذا بدأ بالتعوذ ثم ذكر فات فضيلة السنة. So if you begin with أعوذ بالله and then you remember your دعاء افتتاح, then you have no more sunnah of doing دعاء افتتاح. ويفوت بالتعوذ نعم وبجلوس المسبوق مع الإمام لا بتأمينه معه. Now, which means that if a person were to enter the prayer, right, with the imam, and the imam is in tashahud, right? If the Imam is in tashahud, so the one who has come into the prayer, he needs to come and sit down with the Imam when the Imam has is seated. Not when the Imam actually says not when the Imam says Amin. Okay, this part I will explain inshallah in next lesson a bit more about, because one takes in the ruling of Ma'mum and Imam. So the sunnah of Ma'mum together with the Imam for the Masbuq. The Masbuq is the one who came in late, together with the Imam. So for the Masbuq, to come in with the sitting of the to come in and sit with the Imam is sunnah, except when he is doing Amin, then the Ma'mum will to follow the Imam with the Amin. So inshallah next week I will explain this part a bit more in detail. Barakallahu fikum wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Fatiha na rizqan manafa'an wa amalan khasim musta'lim dalil huda wa yusarru bi qalbi nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam wa ila arwahi mu'allimina mashayikhina wa zabiqi alaina wa ila hadrati nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum